So, all right, let us begin the class. Have you all written your roll number in chat box?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So, what all serial numbers could you find that they were in order? Can anyone tell me, could you find one or two serial numbers mentioned in that file which were in order?
54,
Hmm.
54, 56, 70 partially, and 75 partially.
Okay, read the first one. What was the first one?
Sir, 54.
So
54. Okay, 54. What does it say?
Per unit sales price should be always greater than per unit variable cost.
It was you who write, isn't it? Who wrote it?
Yes, sir.
Who else wrote correct answer?
56.
56. Who wrote that?
So 56. We don't know the name. 56.
No. Is he available here by the way? No, I have got the list with me, but in a different file. I need to access that. I just want to know. Someone else has also written, and perhaps
27.
more. Sorry.
So 27. Arham, Muhammad Arham.
Arham, and he wrote it more elaborately, just in two sentences only. The sales price have to be more than the variable cost. Otherwise, the answer will be infinity. So naturally, it is impossible to have break even in infinity. And also, if you divide if sales price is equal to 0, your answer will be again infinity. So you cannot have break even as infinity. So that is what was all required to be written just in two sentences. Some of you have really not understood the problem. I wrote sixth assumption. 5 were discussed. You were asked to write the sixth one. And it was discussed in enough of details that look at the formula and think of one more assumption. So there was no point asking you to reproduce what was written. So because file would have taken longer time, so I just, I just deleted those all 13, 14, wherein everybody reproduced those 13, 14 reproduced the 5 assumptions, like cost can be divided into 2, or sales price, per unit sales price remains constant, etc., etc. This is what some of you have also written, that efficiency remains unchanged and all those things remain unchanged. It can be assumed, but once again, if you recall, you were present in the class. Everything is all about discussion in the class. And what was that? I asked you to concentrate, look at the formula and see what is there something which is wrong with the formula. Formula will not be applicable unless certain assumptions are made. It was in respect to the formula. Okay, now what you all are required to do, I'm posting it very small listing in your this chat box. That is, just 1 second, I have already noted, I'm just copying it down here. Pick up any 5 incorrect observations of your choice. Out of 75 odd assumptions, there are several, almost 90% of them are not correct. So you pick up any 5 of your choice, and in the file that you are maintaining, you note down what is wrong with those assumptions. Why do you think they are incorrect? They are incorrect, of course, but you should write in your file, picking up any 5. You can pick up serial number 1, 5, 7, 9, 74, in any one. Naturally, you will ignore the correct ones because it is correct. So pick up any 5 incorrect observations, and you note down in your file what wrong did you find there. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Then we take up the next. We move on to the next slide. Having it, so you have also calculated the break even using graph, isn't it? And
Yes, sir.
yesterday I had explained.
Yes, sir.
So some more discussion, a little bit. I can explain you on draft also, or on sorry graph also. If you look at the graph at the intersection point, so you can have something beyond intersection and something below intersection. If you look at the graph which is below intersection from O to, when you have X, Y and O, from O to intersection, if you see, you will notice that the gap between two lines gets reduced and a time comes when it is zero, no gap. Similarly, when you move on, you see a smaller gap and then gap keeps on widening. So the area that you see below intersection point represents losses. In the area that you see beyond intersection point represents losses. One more thing you would observe, that losses are more when you are closer to O. Losses keep on reducing as you move on to intersection point. Beyond BEP level, beyond intersection point of those two curves, you start getting profit. So profit is small, profit is less when you are closer to intersection. When you move on and on and on, the profit keeps on increasing. So these are certain observations that you can make in the graph if you calculate BEP graphically. So each calculation has its own merits and demerits. So graphically, if you do, you calculate, you can come to the cost and profit, the magnitude of losses, the magnitude of profit, all in one place. And with various points, you can find out the profit or losses. So break even can be calculated using a graph also. So it was explained to you yesterday. I'll start with the next section of this topic, that is managerial uses. If you have no questions at this stage, shall we move
So
on?
can you please repeat what you just told us about the intersection point and how it represents losses and profits?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the point where you mentioned that like it close to zero and stuff.
Okay. Have you got the graph figure with you in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think what would be better that we skip this discussion for the time being. Let me take a picture of a graph, or if you already have a graph, just post it to me. You can share the screen, because explanation with graph on the screen will be easier.
So it is
Can
a
any one of you
made
share the picture of graph? Or I should skip it now, get a picture of graph, and then explain to you. Whichever way you feel,
Shall I share?
or do that.
Sir, my share is not working. I'm sorry.
Okay, anyone else? Or see, another way out could be that whosoever has got the picture ready can post it in the group. Post it in
Sure,
the,
sir.
if you post it in the group, you can look at the group, this one simultaneously. All right. Post it in the group, everyone can look at it. I will explain it holding phone in my hand.
सर एक क्वेश्चन था, मतलब जैसे ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट पे हम लोगों का प्रॉफिट और लॉस जो है वो जीरो हो जाता है, तो मतलब इसके बाद तो हम लोगों की प्रॉफिट की कोई लिमिट नहीं है ना कि हम कितना भी प्रॉफिट अचीव कर सकते हैं?
Just 1 second, let the graph be posted. Let the graph be posted.
Sir, I can share if you want.
Anything will do. Do that. All right, good. Who has shared it? Arma?
Vanshiva, sir.
Okay, doesn't matter. Now you look at the graph, you see O, X, Y, and O. So you see in O, fine, good that you have enlarged it also. Where this 1000 is written. So what is this 1000? You are starting it from this point. On your x-axis, you have number of units, 1000, 2000, 3000, etc., etc. And with which data have you plotted this graph? The one that I gave you or different data?
Sir, I just copied it from Google to
Okay.
make it present here.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, it will do. See, had this been with the data, the explanation would have been much better. But anyway, it can be, explained with this, with another data also. You look at the x-axis. These are number of units. That is 3000. So at 3000 units, the graph must have assumed 1 rupee as sales price. 1 rupee as sales price and some fixed cost. So if you look at 3000 units, at 3000 units, the point is break even. You look at the left hand side of this graph or left hand side of this rectangle, you see 3000 is your total cost and total revenue. Now look at the shaded area. In the shaded area, before the intersection point, before the break even point, you see loss. So you see,
Yes, sir.
you see the loss figure or quantity of loss or amount of loss closer to your x-axis. It is
Origin point.
It is about
Origin.
2500, roughly much more than 2000, 2200 or something. If you move along, if you go on and on till such time you reach break-even level, your volume of loss keeps on decreasing. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Got it. Yes, sir.
You reach a point where your loss becomes zero. And what is that point? Break-even point.
Break-even point.
It shows that it shows that at break-even point, our loss is zero and our profit is also zero, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when there is no loss, so there is no profit. Either there'll be profit or there'll be no profit. So there is no profit, no loss at this stage. Now you move along. If you look at where total sales is written, you consider it. I think I need to redraw it. Then the explanation will be much better. I'll do it later. But you consider where total sales is written, you consider this curve as revenue, total revenue. Instead of total sales, you consider this curve. Can you see the movement of cursor? Is cursor visible? You can see the cursor?
No, sir.
No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Now.
sir.
This total sale curve, if you consider as total revenue curve, what curve would you call it?
Total revenue curve.
Total revenue.
Total revenue.
And this is your total cost. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
if
sir.
you move towards total cost, like I am moving the cursor, so your total cost is this. Your total cost is continuously decreasing. And when you
Yes,
see
sir.
total revenue curve, so prior to this stage, revenue was less and cost was more. You see, prior to this stage, cost was
More, sir.
more, revenue was less.
Less.
At this stage, revenue is more, cost is
Less.
Less.
At this stage, cost is equal to revenue.
Revenue.
So place where cost is equal to revenue is your break-even point. Where revenue is more than cost, it is your profit. Where revenue is less than cost, it is your loss. Second thing which graph is depicting is the quantum or the volume of profit or loss. Volume of profit is zero here. Volume of profit is little more, furthermore. As you go on and on and on, the profitability keeps on increasing.
Increasing, sir.
So this is what graph can explain to you. Have you understood now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much, sir.
Good. Can you just stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Unless just hold on. Unless okay, you have leave it. Anyway, I just wanted to say unless somebody has some more questions. Okay, no issues. So I'll pick up my this one. presentation. Can you see my screen now?
No, sir.
Not yet, sir.
Okay, wait.
Sir, I asked a question regarding that graph. Sir,
Wait. We will come to this one.
Sure, sir.
Just one second. Remove this title. I need to, what happened when you started sharing my screen? Should automatically come up or something wrong?
नहीं सर, वो साइड में हो जाता है लेकिन फिर भी शेयर हो रही होती है.
Resume presentation.
Yes, sir.
Visible, sir.
Is it visible, sir?
Okay, good, fine. So now you can ask the question.
सर ये जो आपका ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट है उसके बाद प्रॉफिट का तो कोई लिमिट नहीं होता ना कि मतलब
हाँ, प्रॉफिट का कोई लिमिट नहीं. वैसे तो ना प्रॉफिट का कोई लिमिट है ना लॉस का कोई लिमिट. कितना प्रॉफिट हो सकता है कंपनी में?
सर इसका तो आप सेल्स पे डिपेंड करता है ना और आपकी कॉस्ट
फिर भी कितना हो सकता है?
Unlimited.
बस
सर अनलिमिटेड हो सकता है.
अनलिमिटेड. लॉस कितना हो सकता?
सर वो भी अनलिमिटेड है.
ठीक है, लॉस भी अनलिमिटेड है, प्रॉफिट भी अनलिमिटेड है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. लेकिन एक चीज होती है रियलिटी ऑफ लाइफ. थ्योरेटिकली इट इज अनलिमिटेड, बट इन रियल लाइफ it cannot be infinite. Somewhere it has to stop, and then the curve will start falling. 2 साल, 3 साल, 100 साल, 200, 500, 1000 हो सकता है. उसके बाद फिर वो कर्व जो है, इससे नेचर, वो फिलॉसफी छोड़ दीजिए, बट दैट इज द रियलिटी ऑफ लाइफ. चलिए, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? ओके.
इस केस में हम लोग नेगेटिव एक्सेस पे से नहीं जा सकते क्योंकि हम लोगों की जो कॉस्ट है और रेवेन्यू है वो नेगेटिव नहीं हो सकते ना सर.
आपकी नेगेटिव एक्सेस पे आप जा सकते हैं. प्रैक्टिकली स्पीकिंग नेगेटिव एक्सेस पे व्हाई कैन नॉट यू गो? सपोज सेल्स प्राइस इज ₹6 एंड वेरिएबल कॉस्ट इज 10, तो क्या होगा? नेगेटिव तो होगा ना.
यस सर.
but the logic says for how long will somebody continue producing a certain things which is giving him regularly losses?
So minimum time period.
Then also there are other issues. For example, if the product is supplementary, you cannot sell one product unless you sell another one. Suppose one is into the business of printer and cartridge, and cartridge is specific to the printer. If cartridge is giving you losses, but the printer is giving you profit, so you have to produce a printer in order to get money, and also cartridge, even if you can recover some part of your losses by selling printers.
So
likewise, there are more. I'll not speak here because you might have learned all these things in your economics classes.
ये वाला जो आपका जो आपने ABC फर्म के बारे में बताया था उसके बारे में भी हम लोग इसके
Okay, any other question or shall we move on? Okay, if no questions, we move on to the next part of break-even analysis, that is what are managerial uses. In what way it helps organization taking decisions. There are several, maybe a dozen or more, but I have taken a limited ones. I'll discuss with you. First one is managerial. First of the managerial uses is a safety margin. Now, what is the? I'll explain to you with respect to safety margin about its meaning, how to calculate it, and how to interpret it. So, safety margin, the word itself conveys you that the extent to which firm is safe. When I say safe, I only mean in the context of profitability. That how much is the firm safe? What is the cushion available to the company? Like up to which level will it not suffer any losses? There are firms which may be at the border level. Something goes wrong slightly, they will be in the red. There are some certain firms where anything can go wrong for any number of years, maybe 2 years, 3 years, still they will have, they will not worry. They are adequately covered. They are safe. So that is what we are talking about, the safety margin. Now, we let us first calculate. Once we calculate, then interpretation becomes easier. Now, safety margin is equal to actual sales minus break-even sales divided by actual sales, and in order to get the percentage, you multiply it by 100. So you recall the previous calculation. What was the break-even point?
2,500 units.
2,500. Let us assume that our actual sales is 3,000. So what all data you require? Actual sales, and you require break-even sales. So one data we have already assumed 2,500. You further assume that your actual sales is 3,000. So 3,000, if your actual sales is 3,000, your break-even sales is 2,500. The answer is 500. 500 divided by break-even sales. What will be your answer?
So divided by actual sales, then.
Sorry, by actual sales.
16.67%.
500 to be divided by
Actual
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
Answer you get?
So 100 divided by 6 is equal to 16.67.
Let us say 17%.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what does it mean? How can we interpret this 17%?
That
So मतलब जितनी जरूरत है उससे 17% ऊपर ही बेच दिया हम लोगों ने.
this is
जोर से
the,
बोलिए थोड़ा सा, अभी अब तो माइक को थोड़ा सा एडजस्ट कीजिए.
this is the profit margin that we are getting while we are selling 3,000 units.
No. I think it's not correct. Profit margin is different. What are we talking about?
So
Safety
firm is
margin.
116% safe.
If a company sells at like 17% of its product, and we can say that the company is in.
No. Still incorrect.
So
Sir,
firm
Sir,
is
this is the
116%
percentage of
safe.
sales on which
Hold
the
on,
company is
hold on,
generating
hold
profit.
on. Just one second, hold on. Whatever you say, because these are all mathematical figures, they can be verified also. If say somebody, if firm sells 17% of its product, it will something like that. You may calculate it and you will find that the answer is incorrect, isn't it? Okay, come on. Something else?
Sir, up to 3,000 unit produced.
15%.
Up to 3,000 units produced.
The company is in safe margin when it comes to the net profit.
So the company can reduce 17% of the sales before it become unprofitable. The company.
To some extent, it is correct. Let me interpret it. Even if the firm's sales level goes down up to 17% from its current level, it will not suffer any loss. Suppose the firm's sales level goes down by 10%. Will it suffer any loss? No. If it goes down up to 15%?
No, sir.
No. If the firm's sales goes down by 20%?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It will suffer.
Will suffer. So, like I said just a minute before, we are all doing with mathematical figures. Every answer, every statement that we can make or that we make can be verified. Let me make two statements. One, if the firm's sales level goes down by 10%, it will not suffer any loss. So we can very easily verify. What is the current level?
16.67%.
No. What is the current unit of sales?
3,000.
3,000.
A reduction of 10% means how many units?
2,700.
27.
By 27. Okay, let us do that way. 300 units. So 27. Its current sales will be 2,700 units. At what level is their break even?
2,500.
25.
The statement is correct. It is selling 2,700 units and its break even is 2,500. It will not suffer any loss. The statement is correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
let me
sir.
make another statement. If the firm's sales level goes down by 20%, it will start suffering losses.
Yes,
So what will be 20% of 3,000?
600.
So 600.
So how many units will it sell?
2,400.
And how many it requires to break even?
2,500.
2,500.
The statement is once again correct.
Correct.
But if we actually say the firm sales level goes down by 16.67%, the answer will be 2,500. So it will make any loss or it will suffer any profit. So the safety margin to which is safe, and the firm should ensure that in order to avoid losses, the sales level should not go down below safety margin. Is this clear?
Can you repeat once again?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll repeat it. Suppose safety margin is 20%. Theoretically assume. So if the sales level goes below 20%, it will start suffering losses. So the efforts should be that even if there is a loss in sales, it must try to, protect its current operations at least up to 20%. If the level goes down beyond the 20%, it will start suffering losses. The safety margin, what can be the safety margin? Can it be 10%, 20%, 1000%? What can be the level of safety margin? There is no limit, isn't it? There is no limit to the safety margin. आपकी ब्रेक इवन हो जा रही 100 पर और आप सेल कर रहे हैं 1 लाख. So in terms of unit, your safety margin is 99,900 units. Percentage में कितना सारा हो जाएगा वो? So there is no limit for these things, but mathematically we can calculate and verify. Shall I move now?
Yes, sir.
Let us further assume that you have calculated safety margin, and can it be negative also?
No, sir.
No, sir. उसका
Yes,
मतलब
sir.
तो है कि
Yes, sir.
नहीं,
It
Loss
can,
में तो सर हो
पहले ये
जाएगा.
बताइए नेगेटिव हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता?
sir, it can be
No,
negative.
sir.
If
It
absolute
can be.
sales is
Can be
negative.
Very
negative.
easily. See, look at the formula. It can be very easily negative. If you replace these things, let us say actual sales is 2000. Let me just, actual sales is 2000. Break even sales is 2500. So what will be the safety margin? Minus?
Minus
16.67%.
Minus
16.67%.
16.67%.
नहीं, it cannot be minus 16.67%. आपको क्या करना? एक्चुअल सेल्स को डिवाइड करना. अगर एक्चुअल सेल्स 2000 है और 2500
25%.
इट इज 20%.
Minus 25%.
25 और 20.
Sir,
25%.
ये क्या मतलब हुआ 25 का?
We have to sell 25% more.
तो ब्रेक इवन से भी 25% कम सेल किया.
और बताइए.
The company
Already
need to increase.
No, your
increase-
interpretations are correct, but still not to the point.
So the company should increase by 25%.
Yes. Very. Company should try to increase the sales at least up to 25% to avoid losses. Or company will break even the moment its sales goes up from current level to 25% more. तो नेगेटिव भी हो सकता है, पॉजिटिव भी हो सकता है. नेगेटिव का इंटरप्रिटेशन मैंने बताया आपको और पॉजिटिव का बताया. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I? Is this part of safety margin is clear?
Yes, sir.
When the graph, you would have noted that there was a mention of safety margin already there.
Yes,
Isn't it?
sir. Yes, sir.
That means if you move along x-axis towards right, if you move along x-axis towards the right and draw a 90-degree angle there, so what will the angle that is straight touch? Total cost curve as well as total revenue. Both it will touch, isn't it? Whenever it touches both the curves, you can calculate safety margin any time, negative, positive. So that is yet another advantage of calculating or using graph concept of vision analysis. You can calculate safety margin any time. Just draw 90-degree angle on x-axis at any number of places. Your x-axis you have divided, let us say, in 10 components. In 10 stages. 1000 unit, 2000, 3000, up to 10,000. Or any number, it can be millions of combination. From whichever combination you wish to see, what is the effect on our safety margin? Can you do that or not?
Yes, sir.
The moment you draw 90-degree angle on your x-axis and take it up to both the curves, sales and cost, revenue and the cost, you will come to know what is the safety margin, either positive or a negative. Is it fine?
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Okay. Can somebody take up the responsibility of drawing a good chart, not taking from a net, assuming the data that we have seen in our this one. You take break even of 2,500 and draw the safety margin at 2,000, 1,500, at 3,000 and 3,500. So you will draw safety margin at 5 places: 1,500 units, 2,000 units, 2,500 units, 3,000 units, and 3,500. Try to draw a graph using this data, these units, and then post it in the group. If not now, maybe later I'll explain to you the importance of calculating. I should have worked it out, but I had no idea that the discussion will go up to this stage. Otherwise, I would have done it by myself. So do that, and we will discuss it thereafter. For the time being, we can take up the next slide, unless you have any other question related to what I have just now said.
Sir, the figures which you have mentioned is for BE or actual sales?
See, BE sales is 2,500.
Okay, sir.
Assume, just let it be clarified. Assume the sales are 2,000 or sales are 1,500. Assume that sales are 3,000 and sales units are 3,500. So you will have 5 lines or 5 right angles drawn in your graph, assuming 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 and 3,500. Each time your line should touch cost and revenue curves. Am I clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So shall I move on now to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we were discussing the managerial uses of break-even analysis. One of the uses that we discussed was safety margin. Now, second use is change in price. In fact, it is not one single use. There are 4 different uses that are included in 5.2. When I say change in price, so change means price can be more or price can be less. So 2 uses. Then change in cost. In fact, there are 4 here: change in fixed cost, change in variable cost, plus or minus, increase or decrease. That means if we have to take a decision for changing price, either moving upward or downward, or changing variable cost upward or downward, or changing fixed cost upward or downward, break-even analysis concept helps us a great deal. So is the context in which we shall be discussing this use is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will the firm need, or will the firm feel a need of changing price?
Yes, sir.
It will.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, how about cost? Will it feel the need of changing the cost structure?
Bilkul, sir.
Yes, sir.
It will, because with the advent of technology or ever-changing technology, it needs to replace its older setup. So when it needs to replace the older setup, usually, I'm not saying 100%, but usually in majority of the cases, it incurs more fixed costs, but at the same time, variable cost is reduced. Think of any product or any service. Let us say in the banking context, if I talk about something 10 years ago, all of us used to go to the bank, deposit our check. The check used to be sent from this bank to that bank, clearing house. It would take about 15 days before the amount is credited to our account. What is happening now?
So चेक ट्रंकेशन सिस्टम, आपके पास एक मशीन आ गई है, आप उसमें चेक रखते हो, तो एंड देन जो आपका ब्लैक मैग्नेटिक इंक होता है वो रीड करके
instantly, you are right, instantly the amount gets credited to your account and debited to the person's account who has given you the check. All right. Now what is the cost implication of it? The cost of collecting checks, sending it in earlier days used to be about 250 rupees, roughly average cost 250. Now what would be the cost per unit? Cost of this transfer, variable cost, not even 10 paise, but the bank must have invested huge money in network, in internet connectivity, or installing those machines and being a part of the entire processing system. So crores and crores of rupees would have been invested before this variable cost of rupees 250 is brought to a level of 10 paise only. I don't know about the cost, but I'm only saying somewhere earlier I read it was in fractions paise only. So the firm always needs to review its cost structure, change variable cost, change fixed cost, increase it, decrease it depending on the circumstances. In order to take such decisions, how will it do? It will certainly resort to the concept of break-even and find out at what level will it be desirable to change, or at what level will it not be desirable to change. So let me start with one part. That is, let us assume that sales price. No, we will continue with the one example that we have taken. It will save our time. What was the example? Can you recall earlier that we took? Sales price was
10.
10. Variable cost was
6.
6.
Fixed cost was
10,000.
10,000. 10,000. So keep that example in mind. Now, what are we further assuming? That sales price are revised from 10 to 12. Let us assume that other data remains unchanged. I have assumed it for the simplicity of calculation. You can change all the data, no issue. So assume that sales price are revised to 12 and the data remains unchanged. But now, merely saying that we are increasing our sales price will not be good or will not be adequate. With the revised sales price, there's a possibility the sales will go down. If you increase the price, usual effect is that the sales
demand कम हो जाएगी. Yes sir.
कम हो जाएगी. ये I'm saying usually. At times ऐसा नहीं होता. आप बढ़ाते रहिए कितने भी प्राइस. आईफोन इस वक्त 1 लाख का है. अगर 1,10,000 का हो जाए तो डिमांड कम होगी या नहीं होगी?
No sir, बहुत negligible effect होगा.
Negligible effect होगा. क्योंकि कुछ चीजें लोग जो ऐसे उससे एसोसिएट करते हैं. एक डॉक्टर है वो 500 रुपए फीस चार्ज करता है, कल से 1,000 चार्ज करना शुरू कर दे, पेशेंट कम हो जाएंगे?
नहीं सर,
और बढ़ जाएंगे, क्योंकि महंगे डॉक्टर को दिखाना स्टेटस सिंबल होता ना.
यस सर.
जो कपड़े आप वहां से खरीदते हैं, क्या कहेंगे हम, चलिए अलीगढ़ के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में सेंटर पॉइंट से, अगर वो कपड़े शहर से खरीदेंगे तो आपको 10-20% सस्ते मिलेंगे, महंगे
सस्ते मिलेंगे.
अमीन निशा से खरीदें तो और कितने मिलेंगे? और सस्ते मिलेंगे.
यस सर.
जमालपुर से
सबसे सस्ते
और सड़क पे खरीदें
सर नेग्लिजिबल प्राइस पे.
अच्छा, और क्वालिटी ऑफ सेम होगी. तो ये इकोनॉमिक्स में फिर चले गए हम लोग. तो ये क्या होता है कि ये, लेकिन मैंने यहाँ लिख दिया कि यूजुअली डिमांड आपकी कम हो जाएगी. नाउ लेट अस वर्क आउट व्हाट हैपेंस शुड द फर्म चेंज और नॉट. नाउ सेल्स इज लाइकली टू गो डाउन बाय 20% फ्रॉम करंट लेवल ऑफ 3,000. इस वक्त हम 3,000 सेल कर रहे हैं, तो 2,500 के करीब 20% के करीब कम हो जाएगी. अब हाउ विल यू अराइव एट इट बिफोर यू लुक एट द सॉल्यूशन? व्हाट विल बी द बेसिस ऑफ योर डिसीजन? Don't read the slide now. Just think what should be the basis of your decision. Suppose ये slide
profitability sir.
Profitability. आप प्रॉफिट चेक करेंगे कि प्रॉफिट जो है आपका कितना है. किसमें प्रॉफिट है आपका? बिफोर एंड आफ्टर. यू विल लुक एट दी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बिफोर एंड आफ्टर. ठीक है. अब आप कैलकुलेट कर लीजिए प्रॉफिट बिफोर कितना है. यू आर सेलिंग 3,000 यूनिट, तो your sales revenue is 30,000. What is your total cost? Total cost is equal to variable cost and fixed cost. Variable cost of 3,000 unit is 18,000. Fixed cost is 10,000. So 28 is your total cost and profit is rupees 2,000.
Similarly,
calculate the revised profit. मैंने calculated figure लिख दी है time save करने के लिए. If you calculate on your own, you will come up with 4,500. Sorry, 4,400. You may try on your own and see that this is correct. So what will be your decision?
Sir, sales price बढ़ा देना चाहिए.
बढ़ा देना चाहिए. Sales price बढ़ा देना चाहिए, इसलिए कि your profitability has gone up by more than 100%. अगर आंसर आपका नेगेटिव होता तो आपका क्या डिसीजन होता?
सेल्स प्राइस कम करना है, हमें
कम कर देनी चाहिए. इन दोनों आंसर से पहले कोई एक assumption आप सोच सकते हैं कि वो assumption होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज our entire thing will go wrong.
कॉस्ट चेक कर लो.
दोबारा बताइए, आपकी बात समझ में
सर
नहीं आई।
कॉस्ट चेक करने,
कॉस्ट चेक करने के लिए। और बताइए उसके अलावा क्या एजम्पशन की बात कर रहे हैं अभी, कैलकुलेशन की नहीं।
Sales should be
The
constant.
fixed, so the fixed cost should be constant.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, वो तो एजम्पशन तो पहले ले चुके आप। इस पूरे प्रोसेस में बिफोर यू से यस प्रोसीड यस, आप किस चीज को एज्यूम करके चल रहे हैं, वो सारे एजम्पशन तो
डिमांड
है
ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट कांस्टेंट इवन आफ्टर द
और
सर प्राइसेस किसी भी हद तक नहीं बढ़ा सकते सर, एक लिमिट होती है सर बढ़ाने की।
इसलिए तो हमने 20% बढ़ाए हैं, किसी हद तक तो नहीं बढ़ाए। और सोचिए कि क्या एजम्पशन है। चलिए आई मीन विदाउट वेस्टिंग टाइम आई कैन टेल यू लेटर ऑन, और जो सवाल करूंगा उसका जवाब दीजिएगा बिकॉज टाइम इज पासिंग वेरी फास्ट। योर एजम्पशन इज यू हैव थॉट कि सेल्स विल गो डाउन बाय 20%। अगर सेल्स 20% ही कमी होती तभी तो इसका ये आपका सही होगा। एंड सपोज सेल्स गोज डाउन बाय 40%, so that means your assumption or your market survey or your forecast of demand, if that is true, you are 100% sure it will not go below 20%. It will not go below 20%. अगर 20% से ज्यादा जाती है तो चांसेस ये हैं कि यहां आपको प्रॉफिट ना हो, बट 20% से कितनी ज्यादा। तो द पॉइंट आई एम मेकिंग हियर इज कि बिफोर वी issue a blanket or global statement that yes proceed, we must just make sure that the calculations we have made here or the estimations we have made here are true. You never know that by increasing price by 20% the sales may go down even more than 20%, 30, 40, 50. There are certain products or certain situations where prices are very very sensitive. थोड़े से फर्क से भी इधर उधर हो जाता। कोई एग्जाम्पल रिकॉल कर सकते हैं where 2% drop in the price will result in 30% loss in demand.
सर लग्जरी आइटम्स।
और नहीं, आइटम बताइए, लग्जरी तो बहुत सारे हो सकते हैं। जहां थोड़े से प्राइस मूवमेंट हुआ,
सर गोल्ड कह सकते हैं।
लॉस बहुत ज्यादा हो, मतलब उसकी डिमांड बहुत जल्दी गिर गई।
गोल्ड कह सकते हैं सर, गोल्ड
नहीं, गोल्ड में तो ऐसा नहीं होता। यहाँ बहुत सी लड़कियां भी हैं, क्या भाई ऐसा होता कि गोल्ड के प्राइस ज्यादा हो तो तुम लोग खरीदना बंद कर दोगे? वो तो खरीदा जाएगा उतना ही जितना जरूरत है।
बिस्कुट्स, चिप पैकेट्स, ऑल दीस।
अरे चिप 10 रुपए की जगह 9 रुपए का हो गया तो खरीदना बंद कर दोगे, या 10 रुपए की जगह 11 का हो गया।
सर सब्स्टिट्यूट जिनके ज्यादा होते हैं, जैसे सपोज कोलगेट, उसका अगर 5 रुपीज प्राइस घट गया, देन पीपल स्टार्टेड स्विचिंग ओवर टू पेप्सोडेंट और
चलिए चलो एफएमसीजी में हो गया, चलिए एफएमसीजी। और बताइए, ये सबसे ज्यादा एप्लीकेबल होता है शेयर प्राइसेस में। आप देखते नहीं कि थोड़ा सा मार्केट में वॉलेटिलिटी आई, थोड़ा सा कुछ हुआ, कितने लोग सेल कर देते हैं। शेयर के प्राइस 1 रुपया कम हुए और डिमांड कितनी कम हो गई, 10, 20, 30% कम हो जाती कि नहीं हो जाती?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Really, more of it. Once again, more of it. You study in the economics. I must not go into their domain. So your decision is to proceed. Now, what you will do? Write down. Take out your pen and paper. इस स्लाइड का पहले तो पिक्चर ले लीजिए। Just take a picture of this slide. ले लिया?
Yes, sir.
अब लिखिए नंबर 1, assume that sales price are revised downwards. Assume that sales price are revised downwards to ₹9. Full stop. The demand is likely to go up by 10%. Demand is likely to go up by 10%. What should be the decision? What should be the decision? You must show all calculations. You must show all calculations. Number 2. You have noted number 1?
Yes, sir.
Number 2. In the current example, a reduction of 20% in sales a reduction of 20% in sales is still resulting in additional profit of 2,400. Is resulting in additional profit of rupees 2,400. So let's stop. Number 1.
An additional profit of
2,400 with 20% reduction in sales in the current example is still resulting a profit, additional profit of 2,400. Find out the extent of reduction in sales. Find out the extent of reduction in sales at which current profit and revised profit will be the same. Can somebody read what all you have noted?
The first question was, assume that sales price
Just each one of you must listen to her carefully. Go ahead now.
Assume that sales price are revised to ₹9. Demand is likely to go up by 10%. What should be the decision? Show all calculations. The second question is, in the current example, a reduction of 20% in sales is still resulting in additional profit of ₹2,400. Find out the extent of reduction in sales at which current profit and revised profit will be same.
You got it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. What I'll do now, because dictating and noting down is taking your time, so I just wish to save that one. What I'll do, if later on I'll look at this slide once again, and I'll post the question that you are expected to do later. I'll post it in the classroom. All right?
Okay, sir.
There'll be examples related to what you call, just 1 second. There'll be examples related to change in price we have taken upward and downward. There'll be examples related to change in fixed cost and change in variable cost upward as well as downward. And for all those 4 other situations also, you need to work it out. Then finally, you will be required to tabulate the entire data in a table. And then if you look at that data closely, you will find out the sensitivity which is involved. What happens if variable cost is changed by 10%? What happens if fixed cost is changed by 20%? All these things you will be able to interpret rightly or better only if the concept of contribution margin and contribution ratio is clear to you. Everything is related and dependent on each other. So read it if you need more, and then we will continue. So first thing is that you have to do is, with respect to the concept that some of you have written which are not correct, you need to find out why are they wrong. And further, the example, the correct answer which 2 of you have written, one Sharik has written and one Arham, isn't it? Yes, it was such a, but at times, we think beyond these things. We try to find out some complicated solutions. It was such a simple thing, but see, you have thought of more and more. Somebody has written so much of complicated that even I was unable to understand what does that mean. Isn't it? Was not that very simple? You have formula in front of you, and this formula gives you let's say x minus y gives you a figure. You divide by something by x minus y, the result. So if the result is 0, the answer will be infinity. But anyhow, so we will close the class now, and we will be meeting now after, in the next week only, because next week for 3 days I am on leave. So Pravesa will engage. I have already sent him a message. If he wants, he will engage 2. If he does not want, he will engage 1. It is up to him only. and thereafter there are holidays, so we will not be able to meet in the next week. So till such time we meet, have a good day and wishing you a very, very happy festival.